This is the Shore Sports Network. WOBM Lakewood Township, WADB Asbury Park. Listen online at WOBMAM.com. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
And a good Thursday night, everyone. It is time for the Thursday Night High School Football Show here on the Shore Sports Networks, 1160 and 1310 AM. But, of course, streaming live at shoresportsnetwork.com, live from the Water Street Grill in downtown Toms River. Kevin Williams, Ed Sarluca, and Bob Batters tonight, at least in the beginning of our show. We talk high school football with our colleague Matt Harmon, as he's become typical of late, on assignment. Matt's got all kinds of assignments, and every once in a while he finds time to join us. But we're delighted that Bob spent some time with us tonight. Special guest in-house a little bit later in this hour from Middletown North, their head coach Steve Bush and his outstanding senior co-captain and lineman Matt Dombrowski. We'll talk Lions football. They've got a big one. They've got a couple of big ones coming up starting tomorrow night. Later on, tonight we'll chat with Toms River North offensive tackle Tim Peterson. His Mariners getting set for a sectional semifinal tomorrow night. And later on, Red Bank Catholic coach Jim Portella, who's Casey's, get to travel to St. John Vianney tomorrow night, and probably one of the more anxiously anticipated games in the Shore Conference, maybe in some cases in years. And really the theme of tonight, and of course, by the way, Kevin Callahan, Monmouth University head coach, on the eve of the Hawks season finale. But the theme tonight is we went from 27 to 15. Where will we be next week? 27 teams began last week bidding for state sectional championships. That number reduced to 15. Of course, some of the teams losing to other Shore Conference teams. 15 left standing. 15 still have the dream of playing in that first weekend in December and being able to call themselves a state champion. We know one thing. We're going to have at least one. We're going to have some losses this week because Shore teams play one another, but it should be a scintillating weekend of high school football, and I will start first with the coach, Ed Sarluca.
Well, we're going to have at least four, actually, because, right?
Champions. Champions, Ed.
Oh, champions.
Listen
exactly.
to me, follow along with me.
I thought you said in the finals. I thought you said in the finals.
We're going to have at least one state champ.
Yeah, that'll be in Central Jersey Group 3, that's for sure. Ocean and Red Bank, Matawan, and Rumson, the top seed. So one of those will come out a winner on the weekend of December 4th, I guess.
4th, 5th, and 6th, yeah.
Yeah, I think, are they going to play some games on Thursday also, Kevin? I think you said at MetLife?
I thought I heard something about maybe Thursday at MetLife, but you know what? Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at MetLife, right? Quite a few games this year at MetLife.
That would be a new development if they're going to play on Thursday.
Right.
Yeah. Typically it's the Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
That's because they can't play on Sunday, I believe, there at MetLife. But anyway, some big games to get there, and I mean we've just got some huge games this weekend, some marquee matchups: Middletown North, Middletown South, Ocean, Red Bank, and of course RBC and St. John Vianney. Huge games, Bob.
You really do. I mean, you think about it. It's a big conference. We have 43 schools. 15 of them still alive, playing in sectional semifinals. You have 4 head-to-head matchups. The other one, which Ed was mentioning, you have Rumson against Matawan. Pretty rare that you have 2 defending sectional champions meeting each other in a semifinal game. So you're right. I mean, as far as Shore Conference football goes, obviously we've been very successful as a conference over the last several years, but I don't know if I can remember a year that we had this many teams and this many head-to-head matchups getting ready to play and go on to a sectional final. So we're guaranteed to have 1 champion, 4 finalists, and probably going to have a couple more, it looks like, if things go well.
Shockers last weekend? Were there any shockers or maybe a couple of mild upsets, but nothing that was stunning?
And nothing stunning because you look at the 2 number 7 seeds that won. You had Jackson Memorial beating Brick, which not a shocker. And you had Keyport defeating Asbury Park. Again, an upset and a surprise maybe in the way that Keyport won. It scored 14 unanswered in the second half. But when they played in the regular season, it was a 28-21 win for Asbury Park. So a close game the first time. Figured it was going to be a close game again the second time around, and it was for the Red Raiders. And the same thing with Raritan, a number 6 seed, playing a Point Borough team they had already played in the regular season and coming up with a win. So as far as the lower seeds, you also have Manalapan, but a 4-5 matchup. No one's really an underdog there. So no, nothing stunning. I mean, the chalk pretty much took care of business. I think it's going to be a little different, potentially, certainly, this weekend.
Yeah, of course, that other matchup was Jackson and Brick. That was the other revenge game, rematch game that Brick had won 2-0 in the first time around, and then Jackson, who I thought rather convincing victory, with Mike Golick just having one of the top Shore Conference games, as far as rushing the football that we've seen this year.
For a kid who's 5'7", 150 pounds, to have 36 carries for 215 yards, a couple touchdowns, and he plays defense and plays it very well. He's one of the more impressive players you're going to find in the Shore. I'm certainly he took a big ice bath after that one because 36 carries. That's a lot of toting a rock against a physical defense.
Not only was he our player of the game after the game because we broadcast the Jackson Brick game, but this week voted by the Shore Conference fans as the Lesgis Plumbing Player of the Week, and the second time he's won it this year. But you're right, Bob, and Ed, we were just remarked time and time again last week about the battering he takes, but just like the Energizer Bunny, right, just keeps ticking.
He's tough as nails, and he gets a lot of carries, obviously takes some hits, but he doesn't take a lot of clean shots. He's a very shifty player. I mean, it's hard to get him down, obviously, as we've seen over the years. Over 1,000 yards for the season he went in that game. Second straight 1,000-yard rushing season for him as a junior. So he's one of the best players in the Shore Conference. Jackson's not what they were last year, obviously, but they're in the state semifinals with a chance to get back as the defending champion. So regardless of what happened in the regular season for the Jaguars, pretty sure they're fine to be where they are right now.
So, Ed, that means if Jackson Memorial and Brick Memorial win, we'll get a rematch of that famous game at Rutgers a few years back that, ended on the final play. We could get that again at Rutgers once again. So.
And of course, the most amazing stat that we got all weekend was the fact that Jackson against Shore Conference opponents in the playoff, 11-1 right now, and that only loss came against Brick Memorial. I believe it was 2003.
I believe so, yes.
In the finals at Rutgers. So unbelievable record that the Jaguars have put together, and I know you did and I did as well, but quite a few tweets all weekend about the Jags are back, because, hey, they had lost 4 games this year.
Including 3 straight at one point.
They had come into that game 5-4. That's just not Jaguar-like. And many of the so-called Jag backers, let us know that the Jags are back. It must be playoff time.
They're 6-4 now. Started 3-0, don't forget. So really, you want to break it down to 3-4 since. Certainly the schedule got a little bit tougher. We'll see which Jackson. Yeah. We'll see if they can carry the momentum. Danny Barker, the junior quarterback's been injured, missed the last 3 games or so. Kyle Johnson, the senior, stepped in and done an admirable job. The offense is a lot different, though. They're not throwing the ball nearly as much. If Barker's back this week, what does that do for their offense? Obviously, we'll put Johnson back at receiver, where he's a big-time threat. That could really be a big boost for them going forward. They seem to have figured some things out. You get your quarterback back, get everyone in the right places. Who knows? It could be, once again, a late-season surge for Jackson.
What is the word on that, on Barker? I mean, last week we got sort of sandbagged on that one. Our broadcasting team, he was expected to play. He warmed up. He looked great warming up, unless that was somebody else. I don't know. But he wore number 1, and he looked great. And then all of a sudden, he was on the bench, and Kyle Johnson was their starting quarterback and did an outstanding job managing the game. And when he had to at the end, I mean, let's face it, I think they ran 47 plays, and Golick was in on 36 of them.
With Jackson, I don't think we're going to know until we walk game on the field at Steinert on Saturday afternoon to see who the quarterback is. With Johnson, though, what impressed me most about him was he's not a quarterback. He's an excellent athlete, a senior leader that they can put back there and rely on him. But, he was taking some huge hits because he was selling the ball fakes really well. He was getting laid out about every other play, but that's also, that's helping Mike Golick rip off 10, 20-yard runs. So really got to give it up to Kyle Johnson for what he's been able to do. Be a little selfless. He's a star at receiver. He's one of the best playmaking wide receivers in the Shore Conference. Goes back at quarterback.
And I think he just signed this week
Baseball-wise, yes.
Going to Ryder to play baseball. We're going to save the Middletown North, Middletown South conversation for a little bit later in the hour. We're joined by the guys from Middletown North. But we've got to at least touch on Central Jersey Group 3, and we'll do it quick. But the fact is you got 2 rematch games. Rumson beat Matawan in Week 1. They're playing in a semifinal tomorrow night. Red Bank beat Ocean in Week 3. They're playing in a semifinal tomorrow night. Revenge factor anything, or is it just the fact that you want to get to a state final?
It's certainly revenge. You want to beat a team that had beaten you before, but right now the odds are on the prize for every team that's remaining in the semifinals, and you want to win. And I'm sure that'll be a part of the motivation for for Ocean and even for Matawan also, which lost to Rumson during the regular season. But the big motivation is let's get to the final there. And those are some great matchups. A 16-6 win for Red Bank in the regular season. Bucks are undefeated in the middle of their best season, at least since 2003, probably even longer if they can keep this going. And, Ocean has been on fire. Since a loss to Red Bank Week 3, they've won 6 in a row. And, their offense has gotten on track. Their quarterback, Kenny Pickett, has been very good. Tyler Thompson, over 1,000 yards, has been back. So that's going to be a really good game. On the other side, when do you often see 2 returning champions going against each other in a semifinal game? And Rumson, having won the last 2 Central Jersey Group 2 titles, now moving up to Group 3, where Matawan was the champion last year. The Huskies start 0-3, a lot of injuries. In that 0-3 was a loss to Rumson. They've got everyone back. They've won 7 in a row. I mean, those are going to be 2 amazingly fun games to watch. I'm sure the crowds will be pretty big for those.
We'll be broadcasting the Red Bank Ocean game tomorrow night. That should be a fun one. Ed, Raritan may be a team that surprised a few people by being here. They had the losing streak. They broke it, beat Point Borough to advance to the sectional semifinals. We're in Central Jersey Group 2. They'll visit Delaware Valley, the number 2 seed on Friday night. But, Ed, some people think they wouldn't be shocked if Raritan won that game.
No, I would not. They won their first 3, then lost 5 in a row, right, and then came back and won in a game that they, had lost earlier in the season to Borough. We talked to Sean Henry when we did the Lakewood Point Borough game, and he said the one team he really didn't want to see in the first round was Raritan. Well, he drew Raritan, and it was not a good outcome for the Panthers, who concluded their excellent season at 8-2. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Raritan won that game. Ernst, outstanding ball carrier, quarterback, pretty good, playing well. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
Bob, before we jump on the line with Tim Peterson from Toms River North, Manalapan, defending state sectional champion in Central Jersey Group 5. Tough task tomorrow night visiting top seed South Brunswick.
Yeah, and this is one, you talk about revenge. South Brunswick lost to Manalapan last year in the state final, and the Vikings will certainly have some revenge on their mind when they welcome the Braves. Manalapan 20-7 win over Trenton in the first round, but again, this isn't the Manalapan team that we saw last year. They're young at a lot of positions. They do have one of the best offensive lines, if not the best, in the Shore. The same 5 kids from last year. So just because Manalapan isn't as good, can't forget those guys. Marcus Salinas has stepped in as their senior running back. He's over 1,000 yards, had 150 in the win last week. That's going to have to be the formula for the Braves. You have to try to run the ball, sit on, eat the clock, keep the ball away from South Brunswick to have a chance. But Vikings are pretty big favorites there, I'd say.
A team that has put up some gaudy offensive numbers, the Mariners of Toms River North. Everyone talks about their great skill players, and they deserve to be talked about. But those numbers don't get compiled without a terrific offensive line. One of the anchors of that unit is senior tackle Tim Peterson, who's good enough to join us on the line. Tim, first of all, welcome, and thanks for spending some time with us.
Thanks for having me, Coach.
Good to talk to you. Of course, you knocked off Kingsway last week. You got a home game. That was a good one. You took care of them 35-7. And now tomorrow night, visit the number 1 seed Lenape, coming off just a 7-0 win over Rancocas Valley. What can you tell us about this Lenape team, and from your standpoint as an offensive lineman, what do you need to do against them tomorrow night?
Well, as an offensive lineman, all we have to do is execute every play, just make our blocks and be physical off the point of attack. And then we match up well against Lenape, so hopefully we'll be doing well against them.
Tim, you've got 2,000-yard rushers in behind you guys. What I want you to do right now is name your other 4 partners up front there that open up the holes for Mike Husney and Asante Moore.
Next to me, we have Luke Gutierrez, Will Sagaris, Dan Benici, and Matt Malinud.
And that offensive line has been pretty intact for most of the year, right?
Yeah, well, we had Ty Santa Maria go out.
Right.
And he's been the anchor since last year. He's been there. Now it was a tough loss having him out, but Dan Benici really stepped up this year. We've been doing well with him.
Tim, Bob Adders here. What's the confidence level like right now for this group? Because since that loss, week 2 to Brick Moore, you guys have been on a roll and not just winning games, but seemingly getting better every week. I mean, how good do you guys feel at this point of the season? Obviously, the biggest games yet to come.
We feel great going into this week, but ever since Brick Memorial, we learned the lesson that no matter what the opponent is, we still have to try and get better each week, and we never really let that go throughout practice.
Talking with senior offensive tackle Tim Peterson of Toms River North, how you got a piece of the Class A South Championship, a tri-championship, but how motivated are the Mariners to win a sectional championship and hang another one up on the scoreboard there over at Gernard Field?
We got a glimpse of the championship last year, and that's all we got was a glimpse. And now we want the whole thing this year. Now we're ready to go and take it.
Last year in a fairly similar situation when Lenape was the number 1 seed, you went there and beat them in the first round. How is this year's team a little bit better as far as Lenape is concerned?
This team is definitely better from last year's team. They got more experience. Most of the kids are returning, so it's going to be a great battle, and hopefully we'll come out on top.
Running team or passing team? Give me a little mini scouting report.
Running team for all I heard. I'm not quite sure though. I'm on the offense.
Exactly. You don't worry too much about the opposing offense, right? Excuse me, about the defense.
Tim, what's it like blocking for Mike Husney in the sense where, he's such a good playmaker, obviously 1,000 yards rushing and passing for the second straight year, and we've seen him so many times make these plays outside of the pocket where it looks like there's nothing going, and all of a sudden he'll make a big play. Is that difficult to try to hold your blocks when you don't know where he's going, or has that become something that you guys have gotten used to over the last couple of years with him?
I mean, it was difficult when we went 1-9, and then we slowly got used to it as we got more experience on the line, going with how he plays the ball. So right now we're fine, but it's still difficult every day. So we work with it.
And of course, you've got that horse in the backfield, and Asante Moore, and when he needs a break, Darren Blackwell. 2 pretty good guys to block for, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So far, it's kind of been like as a senior, this season has just about lived up to all the expectations. But now you're in that point, and I think you're aware of that. Every time you go to practice, you wonder, like when you practice today, was that, we don't want it to be our last practice, because if you lose tomorrow night, you don't hit the practice field again. So do you take the field every day with a great sense of urgency, especially as a senior?
Yes, we do. We take it every day like it's the last one. We try to get the most out of every practice.
Timmy, Billy Dowd, Coach Billy Dowd is your offensive line coach, correct?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about his personality. How's he treat you guys in practice and so on? Tough guy to play for, gets on you or what?
Actually, a very friendly guy. Great coach. We love him. Great personality, always cracking jokes, but he gets on us when he needs to. That's the reason.
All right, so we had Luke Buter on a few weeks ago with Coach Oz. I'm going to give you a chance to get a little equal time here. Who's the funniest guy on the offensive line, and who's the best looking guy on the offensive line?
Funniest guy on the offensive line.
Who's the guy who cracks the joke when you need to be a little things light?
I don't want to take the credit for this, but I say it's me during the games. I'm not too focused, but I like to play a little lightheaded.
All right, and who's the best? Who's the best looking guy on the offensive line?
I don't pass judgments.
I assumed you'd say yourself. But all right, you'll leave it as a 5-way tie. Hey, listen, we appreciate you. We appreciate you giving us a couple of minutes. I know it's an exciting time for you, so have a good trip out there tomorrow night and come home with a W and get ready for a state final.
Oh, yes, sir.
All right, Tim
Thanks for having
Peterson.
me.
All right, you have a good night, Tim Peterson.
Well, you know,
Offensive lineman.
his daddy played football for me at Toms River North. He was a defensive tackle at about 5'6", 5'7", 180 pounds. Tim got a little size. He must have the dinner table must have slanted Tim's way.
How was the dad? Was he good?
The dad was a great player, but a tough, hard-nosed, small in stature. But when you needed somebody to shoot a gap, that was Frankie Peterson.
Big and hard. There
Bob
you go.
Fiacco, the head coach at North back in the 70s.
You know, North is really clicking on all cylinders, especially offensively. You know, they had that one blip against Brick Memorial, which I guess is just one of those nights. But maybe even he touched on it. In some ways, might have been the best thing because maybe guys were reading their clippings a little bit, thinking they were good, and you get brought down to earth, and all of a sudden it's a different ball game.
And that really did knock Toms River North down a peg that week too. You know, they come in as I believe they're our fourth-ranked team. Everyone knew how talented they were on paper coming into the season, and then you lose. You get 55 points, and you say, okay, maybe not. So you're right from that standpoint. Maybe that was a good thing for them. Maybe that forced them to take a step back and say, okay, we know we're good, but we're not just going to win games because we think we're good.
And I think all of us, even in the media, kind of question, does this team have the character? And they certainly have bounced back since then.
It's amazing what that one game did to the rankings, to the A South, and so on. It created, even though it was way back in week 2, it created the three-way tie. Little did we know back then, but it created the three-way tie with Brick North and Brick Memorial, and it just had big ramifications, that loss.
And it did, and it also gave Toms North something to, not something to play for, but something to look back on and say, okay, this can't happen again. And,
right.
And I think where we all saw, that paid dividends was the win over Jackson Memorial. And we said, okay, this team looks like it's turned the corner, and they put up some big wins, and then obviously they go with the big win over Brick, rushing for almost 400 yards. And that was really the exclamation point to say, okay, this Toms North team is certainly for real. They're on a huge winning streak. In that bracket, every team is talented. It's who's going to have the best three-game tournament. Kingsway's worst loss, I think, was by 10 points going into that game. They play Shawnee. They play some big-time teams. Toms North beat them 35-7.
Yeah.
That tells you a lot about the way the Mariners are playing right now.
By the way, Jim Colburn, the voice of the Jackson Jaguars and Lakewood Piners, but he's Mr. Jackson to me, has chimed in to let you guys know the Jackson Memorial loss to Brick Memorial in 2003 occurred in the semifinals. In the finals, Brick Memorial beat Manalapan to win the championship, and I believe that's the game that got snowed out,
right?
And we did the game on the radio on a Monday night. Monday Night Football, 6 o'clock.
That's correct.
Because that was that crazy year when Manalapan went in and knocked off Brick, when Brick had the number one offense and the number one defense in the Shore. And I believe it was Eddie Guerreri, now the coach of Manalapan, his son, Eddie Guerreri, the running back, just went bonkers on that Brick defense. And Manalapan, stole that one, and then away you go. The rest is 4 Shore Conference teams in that bracket that year too. It was a pretty good one.
All right, so we've got 4 Shore versus Shore matchups this weekend. We will have all of them covered at shoresportsnetwork.com. Bob,
I will be in Holmdel for St. John Vianney Red Bank Catholic in Mount Public Group 3. They're all big ones, but that's a pretty titanic matchup there.
And, of course, we'll also have coverage of Middletown North, Middletown South, and then Ocean Red Bank and Matawan Rumson, all on shoresportsnetwork.com. Your preview of all the weekend's games will be up tomorrow morning?
Yes, up tomorrow morning. So a preview, a big general preview, but it'll be broken down, a preview of each game individually. And we've got 15 teams, a lot of teams with a chance. And we could have as many as 7 teams playing for sectional titles or winning sectional titles. So after winning 6 last year in a crazy banner year, will it happen? It's a tall order, but it's actually the possibility we could have more, which doesn't seem real, but that's where we're at right now.
Well, we're going to let you go because you got to go home and write.
Yes,
so you have work to do. So I appreciate you coming down tonight. Bob Batters, of course, the football editor for the Shore Sports Network, and you can read him throughout the weekend. We're going to take a break. When we come back, it's time to talk Middletown North Lion football. We'll do that after this. You're listening to the Thursday Night Football Show on the Shore Sports Network. RKE Athletic is the Jersey Shore's leading provider of athletic uniforms and more for youth and travel teams, high schools, colleges, and the official clothing supplier of the Shore Sports Network. RKE Athletic offers everything from t-shirts to varsity jackets, and they do their own in-house monogramming and silk screening. A trusted name for more than 35 years, they also do uniforms and outerwear for businesses and organizations. Visit their store on Route 71 in Wall or check out rkeathletic.com. Play with the best and look the best at RKE Athletic.
Pain is something nobody should have to live with, and Thompson Healthcare and Sports Medicine uses a wide variety of techniques and services to alleviate and eliminate your pain and find out what's causing it. With a team of chiropractors headed up by Dr. Robert Thompson, their goal is to find the best treatment program for you. Whether it's chiropractic care, sports rehab, spinal decompression, medical pain management, or acupuncture, they are also certified active relief techniques providers. Thompson Healthcare and Sports Medicine is dedicated to making your life painless. They have offices in Lacey and Toms River and coming soon to Manahawkin. For more, visit njchirosport.com.
Are you ready for some savings? Choose from over 100 nearly new Nissans at Sansone Jr.'s 66 Auto Mall in Neptune and Sansone Jr.'s Easy Auto Center in Keyport. A 2015 Nissan Versa with only 834 miles for just $12,966. Find savings up to $10,000 off original MSRP. Hurry to the nearly new Nissan liquidation at Sansone Jr.'s Easy Auto Center or Sansone Jr.'s 66 Auto Mall. For details, call 855-66 Auto Mall or online at 66automall.com.
This is a Leskis Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling news alert. It's going to be a bad winter. With cold temperatures fast approaching, don't get caught with heating issues. Call Leskis now for your heating system tune-ups and winterization. Ask about the Leskis heating contracts to ensure that your boiler or furnace are operating at optimal efficiency. So don't wait. Call Leskis Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling today to schedule your service call. 732-349-3322. That's 732-349-3322 or visit leskisplumbing.com.
When it comes to sports, it's not about winning. It's about being in the game. Hard work, practice, and support from the people around you. That's what it takes to get you in the game. And we know what it takes to keep you in the game. We are Barnabas Health, and just like you, we work hard every day so that everyone we serve can be healthy and stay healthy. Monmouth Medical Center, Monmouth Medical Center Southern Campus, and Community Medical Center. All Barnabas Health facilities, all committed to keeping you in the game. Life is better healthy.
Rush
This is Marianne
Limbaugh,
Levy,
Sean Hannity.
News Talk Radio, WOBM, AM 1160 and 1310. Broadcast from the Preferred Home Healthcare Studio. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Preferred is there to help you. Preferred Home Healthcare with feeling.
Soaking rain out there tonight, but that's going to end as we head through the overnight hours. Clouds actually decrease towards sunrise. Lows in the upper 40s. South to southwest winds becoming west-northwest. A little gusty, 10-20 miles an hour. Sunshine expected Friday, a high of 53. And over the weekend, it looks like we are dry, but it's going to be cooling off. A mix of clouds and sun on Saturday, a high in the upper 40s to low 50s. Partly sunny, mid-upper 40s only on Sunday. I'm Mark Thibodeau from the Weather Channel.
News Talk Radio, WOBM.
Your home for high school football. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310 and WOBMAM.com.
And welcome back to the Thursday Night Football Show on the Shore Sports Network, broadcast live from the Water Street Bar and Grill in downtown Toms River. Wet one out there, dry one inside, and it will be a dry weekend for high school football and one of the big games this weekend, and certainly garnering a lot of interest in a particular town or two in northern Monmouth County. Middletown South will host Middletown North in the North 2 Group 4 semifinals tomorrow night. Middletown North has had a terrific season in the third year of head coach Steve Bush's reign. They are 7-2, won their first playoff game in 15 years last week when they dominated Sayreville 31-6. The coach is good enough to join us, along with his outstanding senior lineman and co-captain, of course, and that is Matt Dombrowski. Gentlemen, thanks for making the trip. I know it's a little bit of a long one on a rainy night.
Well, thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
Coach, exciting times, but let's first get a little bit about your background and how you ended up here at the home of the Lions 3 years ago.
I've been kind of all over the place between at all different levels coaching, and wanted to kind of get back up into New Jersey. I grew up in New Jersey, and played for my father up in Ridge High School up in Somerset County, and then I coached at Manalapan for a number of years in the 90s, and always recruited this area, and I really liked it, and I thought it would be a good place to be close to my rest of my family and things too. So this spot opened up, and actually Ed Guerreri, the Manalapan coach, told me about it, and we went from there.
And it's been a pretty good match in heaven, made in heaven so far these first couple of years. Gotten a little better each year. Playoffs last year 6-4, and of course sort of busting the door down this year. Just tell us what that playoff win meant to your program last week.
Yeah, it was a huge win for our program, a big step. We kind of talked to the kids about taking the next step, and they did that and came out and dominated Sayreville in that game and showed what we're capable of. And we talked about winning the big game and winning on a big stage, and we took that step now, and now we're looking forward to this next opportunity.
Matt, you're up, big guy. Tell us a little bit about your defensive partners up there and position you play, defensive end, right? What's the setup defensively?
Defensively, we play a very hard defense, very hard-hitting team.
What's the front?
We do a 4-3 front,
4-3.
and I play defensive end. Basically, it's the way I like to look at the defense is it's one unit. Everyone does their job, and it's very hard to get yards on us once we do our jobs.
Got some veterans, right, that had played a lot of football that came back this year.
Yes. We had Chad Freshnock coming back, plays linebacker. A newer kid, Corey, he played his sophomore year and he came back for us. Corey Baladico, he plays defensive tackle. And sophomore Austin DeWise, he plays. He's doing a great job coming up, stepping up. And the other defensive tackle is Tyler Vivian. He's a big kid, and moves people around.
Okay, now that you mentioned Chad Freshnock, let's talk a little bit about Chad. Has fought injuries for most of this senior year. Tell us what it's meant to have him back full time, because it looks like he's ready to go.
It's great to have Chad back. He brings so much to the team. The chemistry is great with him. We all play hard with him. It's a family, It's just a system, and having him back means so much to the team. And we get it done with him back.
Is he calling the signals in the back on defense, Coach?
Chad's going to focus more on offense, but we were going to play him some on defense. And we're kind of still bringing him back and getting, making sure he's healthy enough and kind of getting him acclimated back. And so he played a little bit on defense last week, play a little bit more this week and as we need him. And
he's a horse, though.
But he's carrying the ball for us, too, which is important, and we want to keep him fresh and healthy enough to do that, too, because he can make a big play at any time.
Matt, I assumed you guys thought that the progress was going to continue this year, and
yes.
The fact that you're 7-2 is probably not a surprise to you. Was there a moment this season or a game in which you were convinced this was a team that could really make some noise going into November, maybe even December?
It was actually the Freehold Borough game we played. We expected to go in there and kind of run all over them, and it didn't really work out like that. And we fell pretty far behind the game, and then in the second half we came back and played Middletown North football, and we had a pretty close comeback. And from that moment, I knew we were a rebellious team, and we weren't going to give up in the fight.
And of course, since then you had the one loss to Ocean, with a 3-point game, and have played really, really well down the stretch. So for both of you, do you kind of feel like this is a team that is playing its best football now?
Yeah, I think we've gotten better throughout the season. I think we learned from those two losses, and I'm still not sure if we've played our best game yet. If we put it all together, we've had good spots on offense, good spots on defense, good spots special teams, but to put all that together in one game, I'm not sure we've had that yet. And we're continually getting better, and I think this is be a great time to peak for us.
Coach, obviously it's a natural question, but you got this team back to back. One of the 8 Thanksgiving Day games will be at Middletown South, which you will travel to on Turkey Day morning. But tell us about the thought about playing a team back to back, especially a team as good as the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously a very, very good football team. They've really dominated everybody they played this year. And we just think it's a great opportunity for us and get, recognition for our program. We come in, and if we can play like we were capable of and come up with some big wins, that would be huge for us. It's difficult to play a team back-to-back, but both games carry a lot of meaning, because if we win this week, we would advance to the state championship game, and if we win on Thanksgiving, we get a share of the A North title, which they haven't had in a long time, and at Middletown. So we're excited about both opportunities, and both games are very meaningful. These kids have grown up with each other, and they know each other well, and it's a big rivalry, and the town and community is all excited about it, and there'll be a lot of people at both games. It's a great atmosphere for high school football, and that's kind of what it's all about. So we're looking forward to these opportunities.
Matt, pretty big win against a very established program last week, Sayreville, 31-6. That's a pretty convincing win. Now, Sayreville obviously had a few problems a couple years ago, and didn't play last year, but it's a very good program, and they've got a coach there now that played at Sayreville, so he is used to being in that program. But tell us what how did you attack that game against Sayreville?
Well, the coach was talking about it, our defensive coordinator was talking about it. The hardest thing about playoffs is always getting that first win, because it's been a while since we had a playoff win. So going into that game, that was definitely running through our minds. But you just got to look at it as a regular game, and you got to go out there and play hard. Just got to go out there and play hard.
That's senior co-captain Matt Dombrowski, and also being joined here by Middletown North head coach Steve Bush on the Thursday Night Football show. Matt, I got to ask you, you're in a town that has two schools, and Middletown South has had the better of it when it comes to football in recent years. How tough has that been for guys like you to always kind of feel like you've been number two in a two-team town? Does that make the urgency tomorrow night that much greater in your senior year?
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, growing up, North was always in the shadow of South, and having Steve Bush come to the program is just huge for it. Seeing us come up and finally having a winning program now, and seeing the progress and throughout the seasons, and now that we're starting to get some momentum going, it's great to see that.
Let me follow up. I want to ask you, you mentioned coach. So being that you've been a part of the program, I assume, since your freshman year.
I didn't play my freshman year.
Oh, you didn't play at all football?
No, I did not.
So you played as a sophomore?
Yes.
What do you hear from others, the coaching philosophy and the coaching change? What does Coach Bush bring that maybe wasn't there before? And I'm not looking to name any names, but I'm just saying, what's worked?
What worked is I think Coach has a very, very good system, and it works. I definitely like the system, and the way I look at it is every system is kind of like a puzzle. Every year you got to take the pieces, see what works, what doesn't, and you got to put together. And at this point, I think we have the puzzle completed.
Very prophetic.
Very, exactly.
Outstanding.
The system. Coach, you've got a great quarterback, Donald Glenn. He's had a tremendous career, even though he's only a junior, and you got him back next year to build upon. I know you're not thinking about that yet, but describe to me and explain to me Donald Glenn.
Well, Donald got thrown into the fire as a 14-year-old freshman, and he's starting at varsity quarterback. And it's difficult for any freshman to play varsity football, let alone play quarterback. And he handled it very, very well. I mean, at times his age showed up then, but he's matured and gotten better each year. And we kind of expect him to keep on getting better. He's much more confident now, and he really understands the system. And we've thrown a lot at him and put a lot on his plate, and he's handled it very well.
And Matt, I'm going to ask you about another player, your partner up front there, Nick Kish, are on the defensive side. Yes. He leads the team in tackle. He's got an amazing 111 tackles so far this year. Tell us a little bit about Nick.
Kish is definitely one of the hardest players on the team. He really does not back down from anything. He'll put his head in a pile, and he'll run in front of whoever it is coming at him. He won't back down, and he's a very quick player.
Now, I'm going to ask you this, and I do know the answer because I asked you before you came on the air, but you do have a interception in the stat line. Now, defensive linemen don't usually make interceptions, but the coach gave it away. He said one game you moved to linebacker, right?
Yes.
Tell us about the pick.
Basically, I was playing linebacker, and the defensive got a lot of pressure on the QB, and the QB threw the ball. I believe it was the tight end. It tipped off his fingers, and it landed right in my pocket, and I just ran with it and got in the end zone.
Tip drill, coach.
Yeah.
You scored a touchdown.
Yes.
Yeah.
So have you lobbied for a little offensive time, maybe run the ball or catch the ball? Tell coach what you can do, or no? That was it.
No,
that was the one moment, right?
Yeah.
That was the one moment. What is this success this year, Coach? Have you seen that it's meant to the school? I'm sure it's restored a lot in the last 2 years, but I'm sure there's a lot of pride back because some people forget Middletown North has a great football tradition.
Absolutely. And we wanted to get it back. You know, when I came here, I played against Middletown North. We actually lost to Middletown North when I was at Manalapan in '96, and Middletown North went on and won the state championship that year. So I knew what type of players that they had and the toughness in that community, and I felt like we could get it back to that. And I think that the kids have really responded well, and the people in the community and the school are really kind of jumping on board and rallied around us and giving us a lot of support. I think they're enjoying the success we're having as well, and we maybe get some more attention to the program and even get some more kids to come out and not just focus in on just playing one sport, but get more kids out that can help our program too.
Plenty of room on the bandwagon, though, right?
Absolutely.
Coach, it's been, high school football nowadays, obviously, for a head coach, it's a 12-month job. But for assistant coaches who may coach other sports, it's also a tough position. And it's becoming tougher and tougher to fill staffs. Tell us a little bit about your coaching staff and how you've put them together.
Yeah, I think we've got an excellent group of coaches. Jeff Massimini is our defensive coordinator, and he had contacted me when I got the job, and I spoke to some people that I knew that knew him, and he's come on board and done a great job and worked really hard at it, and took over as defensive coordinator this year and has done a great job. George Costas is a Middletown North alum, and coached at North years before, and then went to some other places since then. Then came back when I got the job and just done a great job with the O-line and D-line. Randy Kalman is a guy who just came and volunteered with us last year. He moved up from Florida and got a teaching job in the school, and we got him involved, and he did a great job, and we moved him up to a full-time position this year, and he's been a big help. Jason Pino, who's actually a Middletown South grad, has been, he was coaching at North before I got there and stayed on, and he had been the freshman coach, and he moved up with us with the varsity and he's done a solid job. And
okay, so that's the guy that you got to pick his brain this week, right? He's been in front of the blackboard with Coach Nooch a few times.
That's right. And then Larry McKnight, too. Larry McKnight was another Middletown North alum who helps coach with us, and he coached a long time with Mike Galos, too, and that staff, and so he knows the tradition of the program, knows a lot of people in the community, and has been a big asset to our program as well.
Well, our partner who works with us every now and then, and he fills in as a broadcaster with us, one of the greatest alum of all time, Chris Barnes from Middletown North, who had a tremendous career at Middletown North and then went to Syracuse.
Right.
I'm sure he's hanging on the wall somewhere in Middletown North, right? Hall of Fame or Wall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
You know Coach Barnes? Nah. Well, he's only won about 2 or 3 championships at Jackson and then at Wall Township, but he's one of the more stellar alums of the Lions of Middletown North.
Right.
No doubt about it. Matt, you're a senior. What are your thoughts on college? Have you starting to look at it? Do you still want to play the game of football? Any thoughts?
I haven't really thought about it that much. I mean, I'm just trying to live my life right now, you know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to live it up now. I'm not really worried about college. I'm worried about my senior year right now. Going at South next week. I'm going to take it 1 week at a time and go by that.
I always ask this to seniors at this time of year. You realize that, like, it's like winding down. Like your high school career is like winding down. You know, like at least no matter what happens tomorrow night, you guys have a Thanksgiving. But you'll walk off the field possibly Wednesday. Could be your final practice. If not, you got another week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all kind of like you probably think like these 2 or 3 years have just gone so fast.
Yeah, it really has. Yeah, I don't really try to think about it that much.
Because you don't want it dead.
Any other sports, Matt?
I'm considering doing lacrosse
in the spring. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of football players playing lacrosse now.
Yeah.
Coach, you mentioned, one of the things is I think you're trying to build a program is numbers. How are your numbers now, and where would you like to get to in a year or two?
Our numbers are okay. I don't get too worried about numbers in terms of a total number. I want the right guys out there, and if we can get, I think we could, use a few more players that are going to help us, give us some more depth and as guys get banged up during the season and you need more than just, 11 guys, we'd like to have as few guys playing both ways as we can.
Yeah.
So if we, I think that with that, we did a better job with that this year, had less guys playing both ways, and if we can keep building in that direction and getting, more good players that we can count on and be able to step up when guys get injured, and we had some injuries this year, and we did have some guys step up and do a great job, and so that's kind of been the key. So we're just gonna. I think the success of the program will bring more and more people out, and I think just this day and age, I'm just finding too many kids just want to specialize, and they all think that they're going Division I and different things, and there's very few kids that actually make it to that level. And having coached at that level, I know how difficult it is to come up with a Division I scholarship at any sport. So we would just like to have as many kids as involved as we can.
I always tell kids the greatest memories they'll ever have of playing high school sports.
Mm-hmm.
Their teammates, those are the things they'll never forget. And I couldn't agree with you more. The age of specialization, the 3-sport athlete is a rarity these days, and sometimes for all the wrong reasons. But clearly, winning, success brings players. Kids want to be part of winning programs, so I'm sure there'll either be a greater focus on your program next year than this year because kids will want to jump on. I know you guys got a huge game tomorrow night, and you got a pretty good trip back home in the bad weather, so I can't thank you enough for coming down tonight. I always love it when programs that have been good programs and then have lean periods come back, and I think you see that happening at Middletown North. And Matt, you're a big part of that. 3 wins to 6 wins, possibly 9 wins this year. Pretty good to be along for the ride. So I hope your high school career lasts a couple more weeks, and at some point then you start thinking about college. So I appreciate you coming down tonight.
Thank you very much.
Coach, thanks so much. It was a pleasure meeting, and congratulations on all the success.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Steve Bush, Matt Dombrowski from Middletown North. And we'll take a timeout and come back. You're listening to the Thursday Night Football Show on the Shore Sports Network.
At Jersey Mike's, we know busy lives and dinner don't always mix. But by making a sub above, we help make time for dinner time. With cold subs on warm nights and hot subs grilled for cool evenings. It's a really well-made meal, de-stressed. It's something really good, shared simply. It's a delicious dinner time in the bag. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
This is a Leskis Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling news alert. It's going to be a bad winter. With cold temperatures fast approaching, don't get caught with heating issues. Call Leskis now for your heating system tune-ups and winterization. Ask about the Leskis heating contracts to ensure that your boiler or furnace are operating at optimal efficiency. So don't wait. Call Leskis Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling today to schedule your service call. 732-349-3322. That's 732-349-3322, or visit LeskisPlumbing.com.
When it comes to sports, it's not about winning. It's about being in the game. Hard work, practice, and support from the people around you. That's what it takes to get you in the game. And we know what it takes to keep you in the game. We are Barnabas Health, and just like you, we work hard every day so that everyone we serve can be healthy and stay healthy. Monmouth Medical Center, Monmouth Medical Center Southern Campus, and Community Medical Center. All Barnabas Health facilities, all committed to keeping you in the game. Life is better healthy.
Hi, it's Dave from the Causeway family of dealerships in Manahawkin. Causeway knows it takes a great game plan and teamwork to keep our customers happy. like free oil changes and loaner cars. Giving back to the community is another game winner. For 46 years, Causeway has supported countless local charities, schools, and sports teams. This year, Causeway is a proud supporter of Shore Conference High School football. Stop by Causeway Ford Lincoln and present your Shore Conference game ticket to win a 60-inch HD TV. Online at causewaycars.com. Causeway, the right way to buy your next vehicle.
Water Street Bar and Grill in downtown Toms River is the ultimate sports bar. With 32 HD TVs, Water Street brings you all the action of every football game. Located right on the water, Water Street is the perfect place to enjoy the finest views of the shore. Whether you want to grab a few drinks with friends, catch your favorite game, eat a delicious meal, or enjoy live entertainment every Friday and Saturday nights, Water Street is the place for a good time. Located across from Huddy Park on Robbins Parkway in downtown Toms River. Visit them at bakerswaterstreet.com.
For the latest high school football news, visit shoresportsnetwork.com. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310, and WOBMAM.com.
I got a couple of minutes before the top of the hour break. When we come back on the other side, we'll talk with Red Bank Catholic coach Jim Portella, and, of course, our weekly spotlight with Monmouth University head coach Kevin Callahan. Ed Sarluk and Kevin Williams talking high school football tonight as we get set for the state sectional semifinals. 15 teams from the Shore Conference, very much alive, and we'll be playing this weekend. And, of course, as we said, 4 head-to-head matchups. Ed, we really didn't get a chance to talk about Central Jersey Group 1, where Shore will host Florence and Keyport will visit Palmyra, but possibility of a all-Shore final, but certainly the Blue Devils, the heavy favorites there.
As usual, Shore Regional, under the radar as they've been all year. Outstanding football team, maybe one of the better ones he's had in recent years. But I agree, Kevin, heavy favorites to win it all. A little history between these two teams. Florence, they've played a few times in the last few years, and that won't be an easy out, as I said in my blog over the weekend. But I'm sure Coach Kaz will have the Blue Devils ready.
With the horse, Doug Goldsmith, they won 36-0 last weekend over Burlington City. And, of course, Keyport upsetting Asbury Park, a team they had lost to, will head to Palmyra tomorrow night. And I'll tell you what, the Titans have done a great job. They're a team that's really flown under the radar, but kudos to them for having a really good season and getting to a sectional semifinal, which we'll play tomorrow night. When we come back, of course, on the other side, we get to talk with Jim Portella. A lot of people talking about Red Bank Catholic St. John Vianney. We will too. You're listening to the Thursday Night Football Show on the Shore Sports Network.
WOBM Lakewood Township, WADB Asbury Park.